Yo, what's good with y'all, man? Back again with another article, and I know I'm a day late. Obviously, this article will be about Valentine's Day, but my thought process was, well, first of all, to be completely honest with you guys, I was a little lazy yesterday. I had a long day at work, and just not to make excuses, just providing an explanation. And then I thought, just from like a logical perspective, I didn't really think a lot of people would be on YouTube tomorrow. Whole bunch of everybody on dates and taking a girl out and doing all that stuff. So I didn't really feel like it would have been the best day to release it. So I'm gonna do it the day after, and maybe I should have done it the day before, but it is what it is. This will hopefully help you guys to. This article will hopefully help you guys to understand the true origins of this holiday, along, with the various other demonic satanic holidays that we consistently celebrate in, American society. So hopefully, you guys will be able to make, better decisions for yourself next year. But yeah, let's get into it, man. So this will be Hidden History Volume 4. And the title of the article is Love or Lust. Love or Lust. So let's get into it, man. I'm sure many of you guys just got done spoiling your girl. You probably got her some pretty flowers, right? Of course, you can't forget her favorite candy, and maybe you even spent some money on a nice hotel room. She seems satisfied, and you're proud of your efforts, though your pockets may beg to differ. Now it's time to recuperate your losses and get back to the grind, right? Wrong. Besides the obvious economic boom caused by stressed men scurrying to satisfy their women, Valentine's Day, like many of our modern holidays, has sinister origins. Throughout this article, we will be exploring the satanic origins of the holiday we now know as Valentine's Day. Yes, sir. So, loveless origins. As you can see here, we have a picture of Nimrod, allegedly, but that'll be important a little later on in this section. Continuing, similar to Christmas, the Bible never says anything about this alleged holy day. Alleged holy day. Alleged, right? Yeah. Anyway, like so many of our contemporary holidays, we find its true origin rooted in pagan foundations. So this is a quote from history.com. Once again, like I always tell you guys, you got to be careful with history.com. But you just have to, do real research. Don't use them as your only source, because they're not despite their name, they're not always the most reliable, source of information. But, y'all know I do my research, and obviously I put my references in the end. Anyway, while some believe that Valentine's Day is celebrated in the middle of February, to commemorate the anniversary of Valentine's death or burial, which probably occurred around 270 AD, others claim that the Christian church may have decided to place St. Valentine's feast day in the middle of February in an attempt to Christianize the pagan celebration of Lupercalia. So once again, we're seeing that same theme that we learned about in Christmas and that we will learn about when Easter comes around, and also with Halloween. Even though Halloween isn't like, that Christian, but we see that same theme over and over and over again, where the church specifically, because I don't want to put this on, the masses, the people, but the church and the leaders, they try to conflate righteousness and wickedness. I forget where it says, what it says exactly in the Bible. Oh, I remember. Can you drink from the cup of the Lord and from the cup of demons? That's kind of what they're trying to do with this entire theme of like mixing both cups, or mixing garments. That's another thing in the Bible. It seems kind of weird, but you're not supposed to wear like clothes that have two different pieces of fabric. Anyway, basically Valentine's Day originated with Lupercalia. And we'll learn a little bit more about that as we continue on. I found this great quote. I can't zoom in. I don't know why I can't zoom in on the pictures. I mean, I could zoom in, but it'll look weird. But I can read it from here. You guys could zoom in once you get the article, or just on this video, you could take a screenshot. So it talks about the pagan origins of Valentine's Day. So February throughout history has been known as the month of love. It is a time when the earth is at its most fertile. Plants and flowers are getting ready to shoot up. Farmers are getting ready for lambing and chick season. Animals will come out of hibernation and start looking for a mate. Um, so February 14th, Juno Februta Day. Ancient Romans celebrated a holiday on February 14th to honor the goddess Juno, who is the queen of the Roman gods. She is also the goddess of childbirth and marriage. In this ritual, women would put their name in a box and then men would draw out a name. Then the two would be coupled for the duration of the festival. This festival was to promote marriage and fertility, and many of the people who were coupled went on to marry. So another name for Juno, as we will see later in this article, is Aphrodite, Venus, Ishtar, Isis, all them other gods, Freya, in Norse mythology. They're all the same thing. Like I keep telling y'all over and over and over again, I want to keep reiterating that point because, like, it's really that simple. Like, and that's how Satan works. He tries to confuse you. He comes in different bodies, he comes in different names, but it's all the same spirit. It's all the same person. He's just like wearing a costume or a mask, right? He's shape-shifting per se, right? So next we'll move on to February 13th to 15th, which is Lupercalia, which we just discussed. So Romans celebrated Lupercalia, a 3-day holiday that celebrated the Faunus, the god of fertility. That was a weird sentence. Anyway, in structure-wise. Anyway, men would go to a cave dedicated to Lupercal, the wolf god, located at the foot of Palatine Hill, believed to be the birthplace of Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, who were suckled by a she-wolf. The men would sacrifice a goat and then don its skin, then run around towns and villages whipping men and women with the whip made from the goat's skin. This was said to be a blessing of fertility to whoever was whipped. There would be big parties and a 3-day feast and festival to celebrate Lupercalia. That's kind of, 50 Shades of Grey vibes. You out here whipping people as a fertility ritual. But anyway, so Lupercal, once again, same theme. Lupercal, another name for him is Apollo, Zeus, Osiris, Anubis. They're all the same thing. All the other gods and goddesses, no matter what name or iteration or culture that they're in, they're all the same thing, So continuing to the last part, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Christians, or should I say the church, once again, like, I think that's an important thing to understand. That's the church who's doing these things. It's not Christians themselves, but Christians, or should I say the church, do not celebrate St. Valentine's Day or even acknowledge it on the calendar, as they do not believe Valentine was a saint, and they call the holiday a pagan festival, as they should. A lot of priests frown upon any of their flock who celebrate the day. Valentine's Day gets its name from a priest called Valentine, who was performing secret marriages so young men didn't have to go to war. Married men who were drafted at the time didn't have to go to war. When he was found out, he was sent to prison to be beheaded by the church for his crimes. While in prison awaiting his fate, he fell in love with a servant girl. They passed notes to each other, and the notes they signed, They signed the notes, and they kept the notes anonymous to keep their love secret. That's what I think it should say. This is why we send Valentine's cards anonymously, allegedly. And so, like, I don't, like, that story in and of itself, we're going to learn the truth about who Saint Valentine really was. But, like, that story, it sounds like a lot of, like, hogwash to me. Like, that sounds like something that somebody just made up to, justify or to make it seem more, not as wicked as it really was, and to kind of give it a sympathetic twist to it. But yeah, I'm not gonna say I don't believe in that, because I wasn't there. Like, I don't really, but yeah, I don't really think that story was true. But anyway, Valentine's Day once again was once known as Lupercalia, a celebration for the Roman fertility god. Most sources claim that the Romans only sacrificed animals and participated in matchmaking rituals during the celebration, but I find that hard to believe for a civilization that was known for human sacrifice, pedophilia, and bestiality. Y'all don't know what bestiality is. It's basically, having intercourse with animals. And people really do that. Like, it's It's crazy. I got a story from high school for y'all. I don't know if I can tell that story on YouTube. Y'all gonna have to start supporting the Patreon if y'all want to hear that story. But I got a story about some bestiality stuff that happened. Not to me, but to someone I knew. So anyway, please understand that the original Saint Valentine was Nimrod. All of the various father gods from the pagan nations, whether it be Zeus, Osiris, or Odin, are just different names for Nimrod, who is a worshiper for Lucifer. Who is a worshiper of Lucifer. Um, so once again, all the pagan gods and goddesses, they're all the same person. They're all Lucifer at the highest point, but after in the post-alluvial world, Nimrod, Semiramis, and their divine child Tammuz, which is basically just Nimrod reborn, were the inspiration for all of the pagan gods and goddesses we get today, right? And before that, it was Adam and Eve, but that'll be another article for another day. I think I'll discuss it a little bit more, but that's part of the reason why the gods basically have like a lot of human traits, like they get jealous and they have intercourse with mortals per se, and things like that. Like it's because they're people. They're just regular people who the masses idolize and worship as gods. You see the same thing in society today. So Nimrod was essentially like the first celebrity, right? He was like the first celebrity after the flood. And y'all know how people treat celebrities. People like Michael Jordan, LeBron, Drake, Rihanna. Like they treat these people like gods. Like they literally fawn over them. They kill each other, bro. People be dying at concerts and getting into fights at football games and spending their whole life savings, getting tattoos of these people. So that's where that theme comes from. That's why, because I know it might be, you might be getting confused when I say like, oh, all of these people are the same. And I'm sorry, that notification just threw me off. But we're gonna continue on. Hopefully it doesn't like stop it in the middle of the article, but maybe I should hurry up. By evaluating a story, we find the true genesis of this ancient celebration. So this would be a really long quote, but it's really interesting, and it really does a great job of defining the entire history of Valentine's Day. So the custom of exchanging Valentines and all the other traditions in honor of Lupercus, the deified hero hunter of Rome, have been handed down from the Roman festival of Lupercalia, celebrated in the month of February. The Greeks called Lupercus by the name of Pan. The Semites called Pan Baal or Baal, according to the classical dictionaries. Baal, mentioned so often in the Bible, was merely another name for Nimrod. That's why I'm trying to tell y'all, like Lupercus, Apollo, Baal, Molech, these are all just different names for Nimrod. The mighty hunter. So the hunter Nimrod was Lupercus, or the wolf hunter of the Romans, and St. Valentine's Day was a day set aside by the pagans in his honor. But you may be asking, why should Nimrod have been called Valentine by the Romans? Valentine comes from the Latin word Valentinus, a proper name derived from the word valens, meaning to be strong. Be strong? Y'all don't get that reference yet. I got to tell y'all another story about that too. Let me read that again. Valentine comes from the Latin word Valentinus, a proper name derived from the word valens, meaning to be strong. As defined in Webster's unabridged dictionary, it literally means strong, powerful, mighty. We read in the Bible that Nimrod was the mighty hunter. It was a common proverb of ancient time that Nimrod was the mighty hunter before the Lord. Nimrod was their hero, their strong man, their Valentine. Hey, yo! The Romans would say a Valentinus, a Valentine, meaning a mighty man. Did y'all read that? Let me read that again. It was a common proverb of ancient time that Nimrod was the mighty hunter before the Lord. Nimrod was their hero, their strong man, their Valentine. Continuing, the original Valentine was Nimrod, the mighty hunter of wolves. Another of Nimrod's names was Santa, meaning saint. No wonder that the Roman Lupercalia is called Saint Valentine's Day. But why do we associate hearts on a day in honor of Nimrod, the Baal of the Phoenicians and Semites? So, did y'all hear that? Another one of Nimrod's names was Santa. Y'all need to go back and watch the article that I did on Christmas called Santa or Satan. I know, what a great name, right? But hopefully these things. I remember finding this quote and I was like, because I was happy because it articulated, and it's hopefully you guys are beginning to connect the dots and see like the bigger picture, how like all of this stuff, everything that you see around you is the wide gate, right? All of this stuff is saying, even though it comes in different forms, it's the wide gate. But continuing, the surprising answer is that the pagan Romans acquired the symbol of the heart from the Babylonians. In the Babylonians' tongue, the word for heart was ball. See Young's or Strong's Concordance. One may ask, what is the origin of the heart? Heart-shaped symbol commonly seen today. In Egypt, this infant divinity was frequently represented with the heart or the heart-shaped fruit of the Percy in one of his hands. And The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop, which is a great book. I read it. You should definitely read it. He's one, like he it's literally like the title of the book is completely about how like the Catholic Church and all of these other religions, all of their gods and goddesses are Nimrod. Like it literally shows you how, they worship the mother goddess, the mother god, the father god, and the divine child. And he shows you how all of these entities are connected to Nimrod, Semiramis, Tammuz. So that's a great book. I would strongly, highly recommend it. But Hislop states, thus the boy god came to be regarded as the god of the heart. In other words, as Cupid, the child name for Nimrod, meaning desire. Whew! As Nimrod grew up, he became the child hero of many women. See, I knew it was going to happen. I set a limit for my Instagram because, I be trying to, just stay out the mix, and I honestly, it doesn't really work all the time anyway. I'm not going to get off track. As Nimrod grew up, he became the child hero of many women who desired him. He was their Cupid. He provoked so many women to jealousy that an idol of him was often called the image of jealousy. Nimrod the hunter was also their Valentine, their strong or mighty hero. Nimrod, the ball or sun god of the ancient pagans, was said to have been born at the winter solstice, Christmas. In ancient times, the solstice occurred on January 6th. Later, as the solstice changed, it was celebrated on December 25th and is now called Christmas. Once again, we see in the same information over and over from multiple sources that Christmas is not about Jesus, it's about Nimrod and the sun god. But anyway, it was the custom of antiquity for the mother of a male child to present herself for purification on the 40th day after the day of birth. The 40th day after January 6th, Nimrod's original birth date, not his current one, his original one, takes us to February 15th, the celebration of which began on the evening of February 14th, the Lupercalia, or Saint Valentine's Day. On this day in February, Semiramis, the mother of Nimrod, was said to have been purified and to have appeared for the first time in public with her son as the original mother and child, mother goddess and divine child. But once again, like I know that was a long quote, y'all, and that's why I just want to reiterate. Christmas has nothing to do with Jesus, like I just told y'all. But basically, the main thing that you need to understand from that article is that Saint Valentine is Nimrod, and the entire holiday is essentially about how Semiramis came and presented, Nimrod reborn to, her masses of followers and idolaters. But so after the birth of her son, Semiramis went through her purification period, which ended on what we now know as Valentine's Day. So that's really all this. Hopefully you guys are seeing like the pagan, origins and foundations. It's partly about the mother goddess, which is why Valentine's Day is so heavily, geared towards women. But it's also more importantly about Nimrod and how, he's their strong, mighty man. Cupid, the name, it literally means desire. And Valentine's Day is all about desire, which is another name for lust or covetousness, two things that we are told not to do in the Bible. We're told to love, not to desire and lust and covet. But anyway, but yeah, Cupid is another name. So let me see if I can articulate this in a way. Hopefully you guys will be able to understand it. So Nimrod was killed, right? So after Nimrod died, Semiramis lied to all the people because they basically bastardized, because the people back then, they already knew like the prophecies of Christ, right? So all the other nations were trying to fulfill that prophecy within, their own lines, within their own nation. So she got pregnant after Nimrod died because, Semiramis was the original harlot, So in order to explain that and also to deify herself, she said that the baby in her womb was like a divine conception, and it was from Nimrod. It was from Nimrod, and like even though he was dead, like he basically she had like a divine conception, right? So then when Nimrod was born, or her other son, she claimed that was Nimrod reborn, and that's where you get so specifically in the Egyptian mythology, right? So you have Osiris. Osiris died. Isis gets pregnant with Horus, and then Osiris is basically just Horus reborn. Like Horus and Osiris are the same person. Horus is basically just a child version of Osiris, and that also goes into like reincarnation and things like that. But basically, I know that probably was incoherent and confusing, but basically Cupid is just like the child version of Nimrod, right? Like Apollo is just like a younger version of Zeus. Hopefully that theme makes sense when you see like these younger gods, or these guys that are like babies, or like the children of the original gods. That's all it is. That's all they're trying to tell you. But next we'll get into evil erotica. I hate Cardi B, bro. Golly. But anyway, now that we know that Valentine's Day is a celebration of the mother goddess and her divine son, we can now make the connection between two totems heavily associated with this holiday: the symbology of roses and the entity known as Cupid. So Cupid, ancient Roman god of love in all its varieties, the counterpart of the Greek god Eros and the equivalent of Amor in Latin poetry. According to myth, Cupid was the son of Mercury, the winged messenger of the gods, and Venus, the goddess of love. He often appeared as a winged infant carrying a bow and a quiver of arrows whose wounds inspired love or passion in his every victim. He was sometimes portrayed wearing armor like that of Mars, the god of war, perhaps to suggest iconic parallels between warfare and romance, or to symbolize the invincibility of love. So, notice how the Greek name for Cupid was Eros. This is where we get the modern term erotica from. Also, notice Cupid is always depicted with the bow and arrow. Remember, Nimrod was known as a mighty hunter, which is why the father god archetypes are frequently depicted with hunting weapons. And like I just told y'all in my little discombobulated dissertation soliloquy, Cupid is just like the child version of Nimrod. Like I told you guys. So it was Nimrod, Semiramis. Nimrod died. Semiramis got pregnant. She said that her kid that came out was Nimrod reborn. So everybody worshiped, this kid the same way that they worship Nimrod. So Cupid is just, baby Nimrod, basically. Kid Nimrod. Like Horus is basically Kid Osiris. But continuing. Cupid was simply the Greco-Roman version of Nimrod, the original Babylonian divine child. Remember that Valentine's Day celebrates the end of the purification period for the mother goddess after the birth of her divine child. So next, let's evaluate the meaning of the rose and why this flower is so heavily associated with this day. The rose has always been a symbol for the mother goddess. In Rome, she was known as Venus. In Greece, she was Aphrodite. And in Egypt, she was known as Isis. Yet once again, these are all just different names for the original mother goddess, Semiramis. So I'll read here. Venus was the Roman goddess of love, maternal care, sexual reproduction, and erotic desire, the loveliest of all deities. Venus desired and was desired by mortals and gods alike. Like the Greek Apollo, Venus had a fluid sexuality and embraced male and female lovers alike. She was also the guardian of lovers and prostitutes and a major figure in Roman religion. Venus was adapted from the Greek goddess Aphrodite, with whom she shared a mythological tradition. Like I tell you, it doesn't matter what religion, whether it's Greek, Roman, Egyptian, they're all the same thing. They're all the same people. Depictions of Venus were often found in domestic settings. In many of her appearances, she was accompanied by symbols such as the rose, a symbol of fertility, sexual passion, and female genitalia. Additionally, she was often featured with the crown of myrtle, an evergreen bush with white flowers. This crown quickly became one of her chief symbols. Seashells were another common motive. These shells served both as a reference to Venus's birth at sea and as yet another of Venus's many erotic symbols. So next we're going to learn something real interesting, y'all. So here's a depiction again of what I'm trying to tell you guys. So that's Semiramis, the mother goddess and divine child, right? Remember earlier in the article at that long quote we read, and at the end it talked about how like Valentine's Day was essentially the end of Semiramis's purification period, where she first came out to the world and to her idolaters with as the original mother goddess and divine child. So when you see these pictures all around the world, that's what this is trying to depict. That's Semiramis, that's Nimrod. And here's another example. So like I said, so this is like adult Nimrod, right? And this is Semiramis. So this is Pan, I believe. But, whether it's Osiris or whoever one of the dying god is, I believe in one of my articles, it talked about how one archetype of the father god is the sacrifice god. So that's why a lot of these guys, they like die and get reborn and things like that. But anyway, that's Cupid, right? And you see that this is Pan, Aphrodite, and that's Cupid. But that's just Semiramis, Nimrod, and Tammuz, a.k.a. Nimrod Reborn, right? Okay, then. Hopefully that's starting to make sense. I know this stuff can be kind of confusing, but that's why I like to use images and put things in here so that, I can give context for those of you who are more visual learners as opposed to verbal learners. Hopefully you'll appreciate that. But anyway, we're going to get to this quote. This is lit, man. So Lucifer means light bearer and morning star. In pre-Christian mythology, he is called Shahar, Hillel, and Eos, Phoros, or dawn bearer. He is not the fallen angel or a name for the devil, but the morning aspect of the planet Venus. Venus is also personified as a goddess called Aphrodite in Greek. There is no need to fear Lucifer/Venus. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all. Do you understand that? And I know it's confusing. I know I'm switching that like, oh, these are all Satan, but, they're all the same people and they're really Nimrod and, Semiramis and Tammuz and Adam and Eve. But that is the hierarchy, right? So let me see if I can articulate. Hold on, let me finish reading and then I will try to explain it to you. I might say that for the end. But anyway, yes, you read that right. Venus is another name for Lucifer. Understand that Lucifer has historically been depicted as being gender fluid, which is why his name is associated with the female goddess. This is also where androgynous characters like the Baphomet originate from. So, the Baphomet, the goat man with, breast disease and standing there with 2 kids. That's another version of Lucifer. But once again, Lucifer is gender fluid and he's a shapeshifter. That's why I tell you all the mother goddesses and father gods are the same people, but really all of those entities are just different manifestations of Lucifer, right? I'm going to do an article probably just about this topic so I can hopefully articulate it better, but I'm sure you guys are starting to understand. All the pagan gods and goddesses descend from Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz, and before them, Adam and Eve. Like I said, well, I'll talk about that more, but basically all you need to understand is that Adam and Eve were the original, mother god, goddess, and father god. And then after the flood, Nimrod, Semiramis, they reinvigorated the teachings of Adam and Eve, because Adam and Eve were the first people to listen to Satan. They were the first people to listen to the serpent, right? So after the flood, Nimrod and Semiramis basically became the new Adam and Eve, the new prophets of Satan. So hopefully that'll make, sense without me having to go too in depth right now. But like I said, the important thing to understand is that these people were worshipers and prophets of Lucifer. And that's what I mean, how how the prophets are meant to be reflections of God, right? They have they have a direct communication with God. So these people, you have prophets on the left-hand side who are meant to be representations and physical manifestations of Lucifer. That's why I'm saying, even though these pagan gods and goddesses were people, they originated from people, those people were worshiping and in direct communication with Lucifer. So that's why all these gods and goddesses are really just Satan, because Satan is controlling the people who like these gods and goddesses are based off of, if that makes sense. I feel like that makes sense. I feel like, good job by Chance explaining that. I feel like that was cool. Anyway, Valentine's Day is not a biblical holiday, and much like Christmas, it is actually a day dedicated to Satan. We almost done, y'all. So corporate Cupid. And so now we're mostly done with, the esoteric, occultic stuff. So hopefully you can relax and, just let all that process and start thinking about this. But anyway, from a practical perspective, it should also be understood that Valentine's Day is big business for major corporations. Valentine's Day is not only a way for them to keep their wicked pagan traditions alive, but also provides massive tribute from the citizens, mostly uninformed men. So eventually the tradition of Valentine's Day made its way to the New World. The Industrial Revolution ushered in factory-made cards in the 19th century, and in 1913, Hallmark Cards of Kansas City, Missouri, began mass-producing Valentines. February has not been the same since. Today, the holiday is big business, but the commercialization has spoiled the day for many. And that's from Helen Fisher, a sociologist at Rutgers University. And she says we only have ourselves to blame. And I agree, because my people suffer from a lack of knowledge, right? Going all out your way, spending all this money to celebrate a demonic pagan tradition. But anyway, so don't get me wrong, y'all. I'm all for taking care of your woman. But if you love your girl, you shouldn't need a special day to spoil her or buy her nice things. Think about it. What's the difference between getting her flowers and chocolate on February 13th as opposed to Valentine's Day? Why continuously fall into the commercial and spiritual traps of these satanic holidays? And I get it. It's, the herd mentality, the culture. Y'all might be scared. Your girl gonna be mad at you. But at the end of the day, don't be afraid to break out of the matrix, brothers. If we truly say we believe in the Bible and follow Christ, then we should begin to separate from these unbiblical pagan holidays. If your girl can't accept you participating in this idolatrous ritual, then she probably isn't the one for you anyway. However, if you're truly embracing your proper role as a fruitful man, then that shouldn't be a problem for her, because she should be willing to follow you, and you're most likely providing for her in other areas. Hopefully you guys will save some money and heartache next February. So first of all, just going off of that, like, bro, if your girl can't accept that and you tell her, like, if you one of those, you're trying to break out of the matrix and you're like, I'm not celebrating these demonic holidays. I'm not, doing this, that, and the third. If she's like threatening you or like saying she's going to leave you, or like, and I'm not even saying like she don't have to, if she wants to celebrate that stuff and still do those things, like, that's cool. Like, but I'm not going to participate in them. And, depending on your actions that you do on these holidays, we might have to talk about our relationship. But like I said, like with me, I'm a type of person where you can come up to me, especially if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. If you're, are living righteously, then you could come up to me any day of the week. You can come up to me March 7th and be like, hey, like, can you give me these Yeezy slides? Can you give me this? Can you, and I'm the type of dude, I'll just randomly do nice stuff like that. Like I'll get flowers and stuff like that, but it's not because I feel obligated to, or because I want to satisfy my girl on Valentine's Day or Christmas or any of these other demonic holidays. It's because I want to, and it's because I'm a naturally kind person, So, like I said, I know, like, a lot of y'all probably be watching red pill content and stuff like that, and that's all well and dandy, but I mean, like, bro, I love women. Like, I'm all for, like I said, taking care of your girl, spoiling your girl, buying her gifts, buying her nice things, but, make sure that she's worthy of that, and also don't do it out of, a false obligation for these satanic holidays, for these demonic holidays, That's all I'm saying. And also just going back to the paragraph, right, where it says, don't be afraid to break out of the matrix. If we truly say we believe in the Bible and follow Christ, then we should begin to separate from these unbiblical pagan holidays. So something that really grinds my gears is like, I'll see these people and they'll have like Bible verses in their bio. They'll be posting those like, don't skip this unless you hate God, like repost if you love God. And then they be the main ones posting Christmas pictures and Valentine's Day pictures and running around celebrating Easter and posting blunts and bottles on their story. Like, yo, like, so hypocritical. They give people like me, they give people like us a bad name. So when you see people like that, I'm not gonna say call them out, but just like understand like the difference between the wheat and the tares. The devil knows scripture. A lot of these people are just simply misinformed and just blind. But anyway, I've been talking long enough, y'all. Hopefully this article wasn't too confusing. It wasn't, I don't think it was that long, but I know I talked about a lot of things in here that a lot of people probably don't know about or have never heard of, but hopefully it made sense. And obviously, you can reach out to me, leave a comment, and I will try to answer it. And I will, like I said, as y'all stay on this page and as y'all grow with me, and y'all start seeing the connections between my various articles, because these are still like my earlier articles, like these are still some of my earlier pieces. So, I was still learning. So once again, it may not have been, the best format and things like that. But, like I said, I'm doing a lot better now, and I'm getting better, just articulating myself and presenting these esoteric occultic points. So, yeah. Appreciate you guys for listening. Like I said, hopefully this will save you guys some money and some heartache next year. You still spoil your girl, take care of her. Just, don't do it for Valentine's Day, especially if you believe in the Bible, because it's demonic. But anyway, by chance.